Smell those eggs and bacon. It's time for Breakfast Talk, a podcast covering a range of entrepreneurial and independent comics creation topics first thing in the morning. Of course, please like and share if you're enjoying our special seasoning. And be sure to subscribe to join us every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Let's talk.
Hello, welcome to our first episode of Breakfast Talk. I'm Greg with SeerNova. Joining me will be Hector of New Leaf Studios and Dylan, the other half of SeerNova Comics. We talk about page rates, Comic-Con plans, probably not this year, and tornadoes.
It died out. Like, that was so aggressive because the wind circulated around our house. And I know that because Dave saw the stuff on the porch go to the right, and everything I saw was going to the left behind the house.
Wow.
Back there, what you saw was a lightning bolt hit a power line and a white bolt shoot off of it, right? So, like, that was ridiculous. Like, and Dave was saying, like, we had two tornadoes rip through here like a month and a half ago, and
Jeez.
This is the first time I ran to the bathroom. Like, that was that close. Like, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, bro.
And it happened so suddenly, the sirens never even went off. Like, that's why it was crazy. Like, it was so instantaneous. Like, I was in the kitchen, the lights flickered once. I was like, oh, that's interesting, whatever, it's an old house. And then all of a sudden, I saw a tree go 45 degrees, and I'm like, that's
Don't
not...
they call that something? Yeah.
Don't
Don't they call that something too? Like a supercell or something like that, where it just happens out of nowhere?
Yeah, there's a name for it. I don't remember what it's called, but yeah. And it's still a thunderstorm with terrible wind out, but nowhere near as bad. Like, we have the front door open now, like, you can't hear any, whistling or anything. But,
Yeah. That's nuts, bro.
All the power in the house went out. Luckily, the only reason you guys were on for as long as you were, the power was already out, but my internet is
Battery.
It's got a backup battery. Well, no, it's not just a backup battery in the router. We have a brick that is plugged into that is a backup battery, but it only lasts a few moments. And then not only that, the power surged after that, so I think it kicked off even if it was on, because the lights in my room that are actually, they never go off, like, even if the power's off. And they, like, bright and off. It was so something juiced a power line because it would, like, the lights went bright and then off.
It just got juicy up in Nashville.
Yeah, at least my breakfast is still kind of lukewarm.
So now I get to use this inside the podcast. Last time on Breakfast Talk, tornadoes hit Nashville. Is Dylan okay? ... Find out next time on Breakfast Talk. That was legitimately what happened. We were waiting. There was a ... We didn't know what happened.
Yeah, it was funny. It was like, I was like, oh my God, did you guys see that? Hello, guys?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we saw the, like, and then,
Yeah. I heard you guys talk about that. Something else happened after, and you guys were already gone.
Oh, yeah. First of all, you were just like, the laptop was in the bathroom, and you went somewhere, and it was frozen, but it was just frozen, and then it died off. I was like,
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like, page rates.
Yeah, let's talk about something a little less boring than a tornado ripping the house apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, lame.
Guys,
Old
come on.
What is it?
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, you're on your rocking chair, taking your time while you're spinning in your tornado and talk on this podcast. Like, we got to talk about some real stuff.
And then you're going to follow the yellow brick road. Yeah.
Right.
So we were trying
we were talking. Yeah, you were trying to get somebody to do it for free,
Yeah.
which is probably not a good idea.
So we had this one guy. He was actually on our podcast like a couple episodes ago, Eric Franklin, and he was going to be one of our artists. Then he couldn't because he went back to school to do like acting or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And then there was another person that was going to be our artist, but she does like history or something. Like she's a history teacher. And so I was like, okay. So now I actually have to find people that I have to pay. So then I went into Facebook groups, and the one thing I hate about Facebook groups, when you ask, like, who wants to do this for my comic, then it's just the comments are flooding
Yeah.
with like, oh, I'll do it for 65, and then someone's trying to beat them with like, I'll do it for
Mhm.
65, and I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm banned from Facebook groups, so I don't really have to do that. I already know a ton of people. I can just message them. But So I'm keeping my one artist, Adam Fields. He's the artist forever for Ink, and he's going to be the artist for Scales, which is coming out this year. Announcement.
Sweet.
Um,
I was wondering.
Yeah, he's well, it's going to come out this year. Like we're hoping, depending on the Kickstarter, but like it's still
Yeah.
going to come out. It's just like the Kickstarter is going to pay for the printing.
Right.
Is
So
going-
yeah, how did you guys work out the finances of that? Like, did you I mean, not even the finances, but the logistics of it. Like, did you have any type of contracts? Did you even want any contracts? Because I mean, when it comes to like freelancing, there's never like I've done freelancing for almost 10 years, and there's very few people that actually provide some kind of contract. You know, so I mean, it's not really a common practice, but it could be a common practice when you know, have that compromise of, you know, I'm giving up this or I'm doing this for you in exchange for a lower page rate, you know, this amount of work, X amount of projects. It might be helpful so that people can kind of trust one another, to have that, you know, middle ground of having it on paper and written, like a promise.
I was trying to think about like how you guys got from where we were talking about to here, and all I can think about is like, oh, well, Dylan's dead. So, anyways, the page rates.
That's exactly what we did. Wow.
No,
He
we
got
were
us.
literally talking about like I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yeah, page rates.
I still think the best part was that Greg was like, well, let's hop over to Zoom. Like, let's get over this real quick.
No, because we
The
were
sole
on Google
owner of
afterwards.
SeerNova
We were on
I now override
exactly.
Google Hangouts are officially going to Zoom.
I have all the power. No, we were on Hangouts and it started like glitching, like even between he and I. So it was like, you know what, let's switch over to Zoom because it seems like it's a better platform and they have like the
Yeah, we were talking
connectivity
about
seems
going
much
to this
better.
anyway, even for our podcast. I just didn't want to have to figure it out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can record on Zoom, so it's like weird.
We're doing that now.
So Adam actually has a contract that he made me like fill out, and I think it's
Yeah.
the artist for Ink
Cool.
and now for Scales. So he sends like a contract when he's like when we're ready, and I think each week he had to come out with 3 pages, which seems like ballpark for a few artists because there's another artist, the other artist that we have now, Dan, and he's the new artist for Seer Chronicles, and he said even though he's busy with like 4 other things that he has to do, he's like I pay him $30 a page, and he'll try to get 3 pages to me while he's busy, which is still like crazy because he's working on like 3-4 different things too. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's common for like a freelancer for one client, depending on the size of the client, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, it took me probably about a week to finish 14 pages of line work for Maui. So definitely just depends on what it is. But like, these are like double page spreads, and they're kind of like the way that they wanted the storytelling was a little less detailed. So it just kind of jumps from like one instance to another. It's just more landscape work and big panels and stuff. So it's a little easier on the workflow side. So that's why it's easy to get, 14 pages of work done in a week. But yeah, it just depends on your motivation as an artist and how quickly you can work.
yeah, he is just doing the pencils, Dan is, and then Sean Barber is gonna be the inker, and then we already have the letterer and the colorist ready.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So he came with his own contract. That's a good idea, I think, for artists, especially if you're working like straight up freelance and you don't have like just like a job like all repeat work, coming from one client.
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea.
I was like, oh, well, I was going to use this other guy for, I think, Scales, but I couldn't at the time. He's still busy. So I kind of wanted Adam to do all of our solo series so they kind of like have the same artist, even though the art won't be the same. Like I said, Ink looks more like tattoo-ish because he's a tattoo artist. So I wanted the art to look like that, but Scales is not tattoo art, so it's going to look a little different. But he's going to be the artist for that, and he'll probably be the artist for like the other two solos or the other solo series that's going to be out. There's 3 solo series that are supposed to come out, and then there'll be this like Defenders type thing that connects to this other character.
If I was a creator, I would recommend doing that kind of stuff, like exactly what you're doing. Like, let's make this guy our guy. You know what I mean? And just make sure he's secure with what we're providing him, and make sure he agrees. You know what I mean? Like, he's on the same. If we find somebody who we like, let's really treat him well and bring him on board, as opposed to like, you know, kind of making it like each issue is like do or die. You're gonna show me if we're gonna continue working together, kind of thing. Like, there's no security in that, and it's really like. I can tell you there's been some projects that I've worked on for Maui that I was like, once I finished them, I was like, they shouldn't have paid me for this. Obviously I'm being hard on myself, but it's just some projects just end up turning out better than others, and if you're going to base each project on, whether you take on that person again, for another run or for another piece of work, then, it just becomes less, the waters become murky for the artist. And he's like, oh, well, they don't seem like they like my work anymore. So, it's like a confidence thing. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on in terms of like how you feel as a freelance artist, because I know that I hit certain points where I'm like, I feel so good about myself and like I'm creating all these really cool pieces of art. And then it's like a week straight where I just hate everything I do. And you can't really, when you're working as a professional, you can't stop working because you don't like what is coming out. You have to like submit what you think is good enough, and kind of let the client give feedback and stuff like that. But so if you get like kind of negative feedback about your work, and it can bring you down to this level where you're like, I don't think I'm good enough to do this, and that's that doesn't work for anybody, I don't think so.
Yeah, like I did Fiverr, and my page rates, like I didn't know how much to charge as a writer or even like an editor. So like I was just doing like these 10-page kind of scripts, which like easily can be done like super quick. But some people don't know that. And depending on like how the writing flows. So this Quentin guy that's in North Carolina, that's now like he does like this whole audio thing. He's got a Golden Audio Comics, that's like his name on like Instagram and everything. I like now like connected with him because of Fiverr, and he wanted me to do a few of these scripts, and all I had to do, like he paid me like $15 for them, like each one. So that did add up over time. Like on Fiverr, while I was actually doing Fiverr, I got like $300 something. But the first thing I did wasn't anything comic involved.
Related.
Yeah, it was SEO, and it was because like there's an SEO plugin that's on our website under the blog section, which apparently Gavin, that does a Stone Legacy, he created a blog on our website, which I didn't even know he was capable of doing yet. So that's kind of cool. But I have to check it out.
You didn't know that he was writing blogs on our site?
He just did one to like May or something. It's
You
probably
what?
a car accident that he just got in.
Well, no, if he got into writing, I would have had to have done it. So I probably set it up a while ago. He probably told me to do it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So
Yeah. No one can accidentally become a writer on the site.
okay.
Maybe he's a secret hacker, Dylan. You don't even know.
Yeah. But
WordPress? Got it.
yeah, so like I was charging like I think
On a momento.
I was
He's
charging
got a call from his homies.
I was charging like $5 to $10. No, I think it was like $10 to $15, and then like it obviously went up over time. But it was only like a few months, and then I started increasing my amount that I want to be paid. Like I did like movie scripts, and like that took a while. So like I charged like $60. One person wanted me like to edit their graphic novel, so I charged like it was like $100 or something. So it was like cool, but like I wasn't getting enough gigs that I wanted. So then I tried moving away from Fiverr because they take a percentage of it, and I didn't want people to take a percentage of it. I wanted it to all be mine. So So I
Good.
tried moving to Facebook, and the only one that came with me was that Quentin guy, and then he had me do a few more, and then he didn't need any for a while. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So page rates can differ depending on like what it is, but
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's there's not a continuum that says like you earn this much just because you're doing pencils, just because you're doing inks, this is the standard price. It really is dependent upon the artist. It's really dependent upon their circumstance, their portfolio, circumstance of the creator commissioning. So there's not really a clear answer there, but it's kind of like, I guess we could put it into specific ranges. Like, if you were an amateur and you don't really have anything to work with, like you would start at the bottom of the barrel. You would be doing, work for pretty much whatever price seems reasonable. I know I started at like $15 per page. And I mean, even my early work was super detailed. It still took me 4 or 5 hours to do that. So, it doesn't equate for the amount of time I spent on it, but it was better than not making anything.
yeah.
And again, it's just about having work portfolio pieces. And, now I look back and I'm like, wow, I really did that for $10 an hour. I really did, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And but it is what it is. Just like in any, industry, when you're a professional, you have to prove that you have what it takes, before you really make those big bucks. So, unfortunately, especially in like the indie world that we live in, there's, it becomes a little harder to, first of all, create something that is going to do well. So like now I'm going to pour these assets into it, like I can hire this artist at this rate. And then it becomes hard as an indie art or as an artist to work with indies because it's not super secure. So it's kind of like you might take on this project and then like Dylan said, in 3 years they might come back to you for another one. So that's not really that's not really a secure place to be as an artist, so it's not ideal, and it kind of turns you off at some degree.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to bounce for a second. I was letting people know I wasn't dead.
Always helpful.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah. So what were you guys just talking about? I caught the tail end of it.
Just like the end of like the page rate stuff and like.
No, I mean like specifically you're talking about how it's difficult to work with indie creators because.
No, it's just difficult on both sides, because again, like as an artist, if you're working with an indie creator, then there might not be much security. And then as a indie creator yourself, paying an artist, it's like you're kind of taking the risk yourself of putting this whole thing together, and you don't necessarily know, there's uncertainty as to like what it's going to turn into. So is it worth paying, an artist $75 a page and getting some really good artwork if you don't know, like even if the fan base is going to be there, how you're going to promote it, all these different things, so. Yeah, they're just on both sides. It's kind of like a risky proposition, and that's why it's beneficial to kind of have that compromise mindset on both sides.
Yeah, definitely. Did you guys get to any pricing, or are we avoiding the numbers?
Well, we weren't really pricing because like it differs depending on your budget. So like someone did say like there's a guy, the artist that does Fibber for Joe Ballin. He's getting paid by the Kickstarter, which some people do that, and I don't like doing that. Not like saying like it's a bad like pay model. There's a certain publisher that did that. They got super in trouble and are now getting blasted by other indie people because they're not like actually giving the Kickstarter stuff away. They're basically just keeping the money for themselves and not paying the people that earned it. So. But obviously we wouldn't do that. But Joe said it as like a passion project, so that's why Rob did it. But he usually charges like $300 like a page or something like that, which
right.
His art's good and everything, but I don't know, it's like $300. But yeah, that it differs depending on like what you think.
The storm be brewing.
Oh no.
It's not nearly as bad, but it's definitely super windy again. It turns out we have severe thunderstorm warnings until like 8 p.m. It's only 5:20 right now, so Yeah, oh, and that was the
Alright.
other thing too. Oh, that was the thing. The thing I was asking you guys right before I cut out, by the way, it was if you could hear that, because what happened was right after you guys cut out, we were getting like marble-sized hail smashing against the house. Like we thought the windows were gonna
Oh,
break.
jeez.
Yeah,
I think that's a
Wow.
reason why I
hail's
wouldn't
gone
move
now.
to
So
Nashville.
what?
I think that's a reason why I wouldn't move to Nashville.
Nah, it's fine.
It's fine. He's like, he has his headset like
Yeah.
on, and he's like in it.
Exactly.
Do you want to actually want
Exactly.
to know why I actually have the headset on too? Because my sound normally comes from my TV, but we had an actual power surge earlier, and this is an older TV, so if that got a power surge, that could shoot a spark out and light a fire. Like that, it's literally touching a curtain.
Wow.
So like if this thing like actually got a rush, that
Yeah.
definitely a good fire starter. But yeah, no, so I put the headphones on because my computer is hooked. Everything with my computer is hooked up to a power surge and a UPS, which is a uninterrupted power supply, which specifically handles power surges and obviously power outages. So it's it's a well protected system. So if anything goes wrong, the TV won't explode in my face because it's like right here aimed down at me. It's like
Yeah.
you just see me get wiped out, and then the internet goes out, and you're like, "Oh my God, is he dead?"
What
Like,
the heck?
glass in my face. No, don't worry, it's just a flesh wound, merely a flesh wound.
Exactly.
But I was gonna say, when it comes to pricing and all that stuff, it's okay to use other people as comparisons, like going to Fiverr and looking up what they charge. It's okay to like look at Marvel and see what they charge. It's just that you have to be able to reasonably look at all of those, evaluate where you are and who you're working with. And this is something I talk to not just artists, but business people like consultants, graphic designers, web designers, things like that. Like whenever they're trying to figure out their price and they're like, oh, I wouldn't do it for just that. And it's like, until you have a well built out portfolio, until you have essentially street cred and, testimonials to like tout in front of you, you also aren't worth anything. You know what I mean? Like you might think you're the shit, and then you draw in front of someone, and then like it's subjective. Art is always subjective.
Exactly.
You draw like
Exactly.
Marvel. Some people don't like Marvel's art. Like it's just the case. So
And there's plenty of really talented artists that aren't working for Marvel, that aren't, you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
equally as talented as some of the art, like, and I think that's part of it too. It's part of the confusion, is that I think some people equate them as the zenith of all comic creation, Marvel, DC, and they're just a company who's paying artists to do the work.
The way I
They're
like to
not the
think about it,
zenith of it.
yeah, the way I like to think about it is Marvel and DC are like Coke and Pepsi. If you also assume that all other types of soda exist, because they're both a cola. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not like the epitome of horror comics. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like there's other industries that made great horror comics. Like for example, what's the one that DC bought? Was it Valiant or Variant? What the hell's the name of it?
Vertigo.
Vertigo. There we go. Something like that. They had some great, terrifying comics, right? So they might be buying them up now, but the point is like they're not the North Star for every type of comic either, let alone.
Exactly.
So you could be, if you're like into horror, or you're into comedy, or you're into like, doesn't matter if it's like sitcom style comics, right? All of those are different, and you can't base the cost of one over the cost of another, because there might be a huge fan base for superhero comics, for example, but there's also huge fan bases for horror comics, huge fan bases for comedy comics.
Absolutely.
But then the other thing you have to realize when you're pricing is like, obviously the superhero one is probably the biggest one, but it's also almost completely overtaken by the people that like the Coke and Pepsi, the Marvel and DC.
Exactly.
So you have to realize that if that's the case, then what you want to be doing is go, okay, well, I'm a Sprite or I'm a Fanta, right? And because of that, I'm going to target that field. Now who's big in that field, because the price might be way different. If only half the people that like superhero comics like horror comics, then like the value that your art is worth to the creator you're going to be drawing for is going to be less. Now there's also the balance of the fact that there might be less horror artists, so the whole supply and demand thing, you might just be lucky in the sense there might not be a lot of horror artists. And so
so it comes down to that business mindset of like knowing the niche and like how to get into that niche, or to evaluate yourself. And it's not devaluing to assess where you are and adjust your pricing from there based on, again, like the competition, the market, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's those intangible things like having a portfolio, having street cred, having things like those things aren't necessarily the same for every single artist. You couldn't, set a specific price for every one, artist that you encounter. You could have maybe a range, like we hire artists at this range to this range, and that's what we can afford in our budget. And then the artist would again have to kind of compromise and things like that. But yeah, it's a tricky little situation there. And I think that's why there's so much argument and controversy in that topic field, in terms of discussions and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, wait, did we just lose Greg's voice?
No, I just talked too loud.
Oh, yeah, it was so weird. Like, I didn't even pick up. I just didn't hear anything. I saw your lips moving. But what was the last thing I was going to say? There's like one other thing I was thinking of before our convention plans? Yeah, before we get to that part. See, he's talking again. I don't hear him. Is he doing that on purpose? Is he muting himself?
Yeah. He was milking a cow.
I saw that. Yeah, like from Stifler. Yeah. Shit, damn it. Now I totally lost my train of thought.
Now it's gone.
What's that? We talk about horror, talk about page rates, talk about the supply and demand. And then I was thinking the last thing was, the last thing I was thinking of was, I don't remember what artist it is. It's some like super famous artist, not a comic book artist, just a generic, like he paints, or does, it might even be graphic design. I can't remember. It's that photography, one of those, not comics, but just an artist. And he's extremely well paid when he's paid. And here's the interesting part. It's not because like he rarely gets gigs. It's because sometimes he does not take the money so that he has the artistic freedom to do whatever he wants. So I would say that there's two lessons from that. Like the first one is that if you're an artist for hire and somebody hires you, even if you might not like the direction that the creator wants you to go in, right? Like if he's like, that's not what I'm looking for, I need this direction. If he's paying you and you're accepting the money, you do need to make sure that you're following their rules. And again, you can make it where like, hey, listen, if you're going to have a lot of restrictions on this, I'm going to charge more, whatever, that's fine. But the thing to think about is that if you're trying to work, if you find a project that you're super interested on, maybe you haven't had a lot of work in the past, or maybe you get plenty of work and you don't need a lot of money. That's also something to consider, is that if you really want to be a part of a project, it's okay to not accept any money and be like, listen, I just want artistic freedom on this. I don't want any part of, compensation. So as an artist, like that's something to consider. There's plenty of times where I've done work for someone where I don't want money because I don't want them to tell me what to do. And if I take money, I got to do what they tell me what to do because I took the money. So that's something to learn on both ends, is that if they pay you, you got to listen to them. They're the ones, feeding your family or whatever, right? So they're the ones that you gotta listen to. But if they're not, then that gives you that freedom, and realize that you have the power to say no, and it's okay, even if it takes like think about it. Like I play guitar. I don't get paid to play guitar, right? Like it's fun to play. I'm not that good. I'm working on getting better, right? And that's the same with your artistry. Even if you're already really good, you could take on a project just almost as practice to get better at it. Like that's
absolutely fine. And also, like, I think it's the attitudes that are really the crux of the whole situation, is like having this attitude that like, I'm not going to accept A, B, or C. And you're thinking like, that's my boundary. But what you're doing is you're setting a boundary based on your ego, not based on like reason or logic or anything like that. You're just setting a boundary based on your ego.
I would say for the most part, because like, again, if you're like a really well-paid artist, you got gigs, out the wazoo, right? Like you can't, you can charge more simply because your time is more valuable. People like, it's like, listen, I got 3 other projects. If you want to be able to get on this roster, I got 4 more that want it. So I have to charge this amount. Whoever's willing to pay that's going to get me first. And so,
and I would say that's probably that's probably not the majority though.
That's what I was going to get at. Like that's the important thing though, is realize that there's people like that do exist. So when you're saying, no, I'm not going to accept it, that's fine. Someone else will definitely accept it. They're going to take the money you could have made. They're going to create a portfolio you could have created. And so that's the other thing. It's like, it's not a rush. Like, and obviously you're an artist, you get paid for your artwork. And even you'll agree, like, it's not like we're trying to say artists, lower your prices. It's really just understand that if you're not getting work, like it's either A, you're not good at marketing. If that's the case, you better get a really nice portfolio because, like that's about all you're going to have for marketing. if you are good at marketing and you're not getting work, then your work needs to improve, right? So like that's the thing. And take more gigs, take less money, and get more work. And then once you have like an amazing portfolio, learn how to market. There's my brother is a music producer, and he follows a ton of producers online that are starting to showcase how like they made money. And like they're like, dude, this is 20% skill, 80% business.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it has almost nothing to do with your skill. There's like, if you really think about it, Tim Ferriss, a big entrepreneur that I follow, talks about the fact that to get to like the top 10% of any skill doesn't actually take that much time. You don't need 10,000 hours to get to the top 10%. That 10,000 hour rule is to be the top 1%. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in the top 10, you could be a great artist, like an amazing artist. You could be an amazing chef. You could be an amazing athlete. It doesn't matter. But like the thing is, like the NFL players are the top 1%. Right.
Right.
You could still be absolutely amazing and not be them. So when it comes to artistry, you can get really good really fast if you know what you're doing. And once you get there, that's 10% of the population of your artistry, right? So that's still a lot of people you got to compete against. So you have to realize that the next biggest thing you need to get really good at, or find someone that will work with you who's really good at it, is business. Like business is so key. Like that's the only, like the difference between most good creators and a successful career in creating is simply business. They don't know what to do, because it's the baker who decided to open a bakery but doesn't know how to run a business. Right? Like you've now taken on a bunch of additional responsibilities you're not good at, and now even your baking will suffer because of it, just as your artistry will.
Yeah, I mean, when I started my journey, a lot of the most important things I did was research time management, research like entrepreneurial skills, research how to be a self-starter, you know, like things that had nothing to do with being an artist, but it was something that like I knew if I was going to be successful and get people to notice what I was doing, I had to be in that mindset of like, what's my next step? You know, what do I do next? Like, yeah, I'm good at art, but that doesn't really do anything for me because I don't have enough people trying to buy my art. So, it's definitely a different ball game when you're freelancing. And I think again, like you said, we're not telling artists to lower their prices, and for me especially, I think it's just about compromise. And I'm actually telling creators, you guys need to provide everything that artist needs so you can stay within a reasonable budget, and then everybody's happy. So like, they might be not accepting, you know, their top rate, and they lower themselves down a little bit, but the medium there is so happy that they're okay doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, you gotta come in with
I was about to say
the expectation that you're working too, like not just the artist, you know?
So something that the three of us should work on later is getting a blog together that we actually probably could set reasonable price ranges for. Like it would be a very complicated like 3D style grid, or obviously multiple grids, but it would be something along the lines of like, say you've got 5 years of experience, you've got this amount of portfolio work, and then what does the creator provide? Right? Are they providing the environmental art, the character bios and things like that are important for your drawing capabilities? Or do you have to create those? Because like you were saying earlier, like some people don't realize that even if they don't want you to create a character profile, you're going to need one if you want the character to be consistent throughout the whole comic. And if you don't do that, the art will suffer, right? So it's going to have to be created. And so when you're,
and honestly, it's no, and like on that topic specifically, is like what I was saying before, is that they, like when I first started taking work at Maui, they didn't really think about that. But now every time I start a project, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do character design. So I don't even ask them, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just worked into the progress now. And like it's worked into, like, they understand, okay, that's why it's important now. Like they didn't really get it before, but now they understand, like, he's going to do character designs and then he's going to show it to us. And now we're going to be like, yeah, that looks dope. Or no, that doesn't look dope. Let's change it. And now we have a more rounded picture of like what this is going to look like in the end. You know, now it's gratifying for you as a creator to get those things too, not just to like, you know, for the artist. It's not just he just does it for fun and he wants to charge you some more money. Like it's really, he needs that understanding of consistency throughout, and you need to understand what your characters are going to look like too, so that at the, you know, if he does 12 pages of sequentials and that character is in every single page of those sequentials, and you're like, I don't like the hat, take the hat off. Now I have to go back in and change all 12 of those pages, you know? So you want to have some consistency and some agreement on what those things are going to look like beforehand.
Yeah, I was going to say there's two things on that. The first one is, like you were saying, there's like a process to it. And a lot of artists for any genre, like music, art, whatever, even entrepreneurship can be an art. Like the artistry part of it, a lot of people think it is supposed to be very like free flowing, and they don't realize there's a Jocko Willings. He's like a Navy SEAL that I follow, but he talks about how discipline equals freedom. And the whole concept is just the fact that when you have a very steady process, same with our artists, like we tell them a lot of details for an individual panel now. And you think that might be restrictive, but if anything, it allows you to put more detail onto the things that matter. And that's why the whole discipline equals freedom thing. It'll actually accelerate what you're trying to do and not take away from it, that a lot of people think. And so
I absolutely would prefer, like as an artist, like a freelance artist, prefer more information than less information, because I want to have to do less thinking and more executing. So I think that's brilliant for sure.
Yeah, and so I was going to say, and so the other thing too is that for the people, the creators who don't think it's necessary, the thing that Greg and I were talking about on a podcast earlier today is that in all reality, like you're never going to make the money back selling just comics, like unless you have, Disney selling your comic for you, and even they probably don't make their money back on the comics. So the idea is that you need to build a fan base. And that fan base might support you by buying stuff at a Comic-Con, like posters. It could be merchandise. It could be an event ticket, like if you're talking someplace. So that's where you you build fans through the comics, but you don't make a living off of it through the comics unless you're only the artist and never the creator, right? So if you're the creator, you want to know that all of that extra work, like the environment art, the character art, all of that stuff, is stuff you can put on the back end. So like say you have a Patreon for your comic book, right? You could have it where, hey, if you donate $3 a month, you'll have access to look at all the, character designs as they're coming out, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually you can post them online so that other people can view them, but they'll get like first look at it. Maybe you can be like, hey, here's our first character design. What do you guys think? Right? So now that you have all of this additional artwork to play with, you'll actually be able to do more things with it, which will be very fun to play with.
And something to keep in mind too is that kind of artwork takes much less time to execute than comic pages. So you actually have more ready and available content by doing those things. By saying I want 5 character sheets done, and first of all, the pricing for a character sheet and the pricing for per page of a comic for like 5 is completely different, and it's more reasonable to actually pay them to do that one piece or those 2 pieces of artwork than to make a whole comic, let's just say. So by getting those things done first, you're actually, like you said, providing yourself with some content, right? And then you're actually executing manageable projects. So
I was about to say, another cool thing to think about too as a creator is that what you can also do is you have a bargaining chip to go, hey, if I pay you for like 20 character designs up front, can I get a page reduction when it comes to the comic? And they might draw more than 20 pages for your comic, so it could save you in the long run. But the thing is that the artist is going to be getting more consistent payment, and maybe you'll end up buying an extra character design just because you'll have the money to play with, which will give you more content. It'll give them a better portfolio, because honestly, character design is probably better than panel design when it comes to portfolio work, because people can't really appreciate a single panel. They can only appreciate a whole comic or the character art.
Exactly. And I think, Greg, you were saying it too, that like you had hired somebody to do something for you, and then you actually ended up giving them a bonus like on top of it. So like when you do stuff like that, like what you were talking about, where you start creating like a relationship, and then you work out deals within that relationship with that artist. Now you have a little more room to play with those things, and maybe you can say, you know what, I want to appreciate you with this money. And it's something that's coming out of nowhere, and the artist is going to be that much more grateful and loyal to what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I think, and another like aspect that actually is not within the really the spectrum of page rates, but it's just something that is, as an artist, like morale boosting. If you have a team that really is understanding, they're willing to compromise, they're willing to hear you out, and then they're encouraging. So it's not just like all criticism. It's not just like, hey, like if things aren't perfect, you have to understand that like that's okay. Like you need to publish the content. It's not gonna, like, the importance is actually in the whole project, not in the small fine ass details. And if you're completing that one project, you're actually gonna gain what you wanted to gain in the first place. So like be a little more looser to like what's going on in fluid situations and again, just be encouraging with every step of the process. Like my art director at Maui, he's just one of the most encouraging, positive people that I've ever met on the planet. And like the fact that I get to work with him is like one of the things that makes me work
It's good
harder.
phrasing. I get to work with him too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I respect him so much because he, you know, first of all, I understand how it is to work with other people and to like communicate and try to get projects done. It's not an easy thing. And then for somebody to always be encouraging and always have the right things to say to like get me to do what I need to do, like, and not create conflict is like a skill that like I really respect, you know? So it's something that I model myself as a leader, like behind that example.
Yeah. Yeah. Around like Christmas time or whatever, we needed some lettering done, like redone.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Those pages that were wrong and the wrongly printed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my bad. So then he's like, "Oh no, I won't like charge you for that." And I was like, "But you're still lettering it." He's like, "Yeah, but I already like all I have to do is take the lettering from those pages and then just put them onto there." It's like, okay. So I gave him like $15 or like $30 like holiday bonus, but it was basically to like pay him for like my mess up stuff.
Extra. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like you were saying, like that loyalty you build between people, like that's hugely. Like if you get an artist you really like and you do stuff like that for them, and also keep in mind vice versa, like the artist should be willing to do stuff like that for the creator, like helping them out.
Right.
And not just because you're trying to get them to give you a bonus later, but legitimately because you're interested in the project.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, if I wasn't under NDA right now, like I would be doing free promotion for these guys all day, you know, but it's like they have a marketing plan. So they're like, no, it's in time. And like, we have a schedule for those things. But yeah, I mean, they're not paying me to market. I'm just going to be putting out that stuff because it's awesome. And I love working with these guys. So yeah, exactly. It's, you know, when you build that relationship, everybody wins in that scenario. But yeah, so in terms of page rates and all that kind of stuff, how do you think that applies to like comic conventions, and like going to a comic convention and like going and asking people like to do something for me at like a convention?
We've only been to like 3, I think, Comic-Cons, and it was twice at one, so technically 2 Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
Although I went to the New York one though.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't go because I didn't have money or something.
Yeah, he's broke as fuck.
That's how it happens, really.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, try to get like $50," and I'm like, "I can't." And he's like, "You're stupid." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
No, I said you're poor.
Donate blood. Donate that plasma.
Blood and semen. Come on.
You're milking me dry. You're milking me dry.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, I never like really asked for anything to get done at a Comic-Con, but we did get cupcakes from a Comic-Con, so
It's basically the same thing.
but yeah, like I know people do commission stuff there, like you can draw like a cover of something, like I can't even think
Like,
of it.
would you value that more, like, than you would
Well,
say an
it's
artist
an
that
idea
you like
that's
came
been-
into contact with like on the internet?
Well, it's my idea, literally going onto a page of something, so it's pretty
In an
cool.
instant.
But, like, someone asked Eric, that was on our other podcast, if you could do the Tick and Cthulhu, but mix it.
Oh,
together.
yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah,
that's,
Cthulhu.
that's the weirdest thing I've ever got asked. And I've done this so many times, but yes, I can do that because he was getting paid. So yeah,
Yeah.
he obviously thought it was cool. Yeah, like for comic conventions for us, like I would have like you, or like depending on like how it's all set up, like if we're at like Cake or whatever convention, like you could be drawing something, so then that would bring people in to be like, oh, like this guy's awesome at art. And then you got Dylan screaming like, extra, buy this. And then you got me like me just sitting there like, yeah, I like creative comics, I'm like the best in the world. But
Yeah, you're like the cool guy with the sunglasses, just like kicking your feet up and stuff.
yeah. But
I'm a rebel without a cause.
I think that's good. But yeah, I think like it's pretty cool that like I know some people aren't like a fan of like fan art type stuff, and they actually classify like those custom covers and everything as that. So I guess like some people just don't like that, but it's like opinion of anybody's. Like,
Yeah, I think it's like for me personally, when it comes to like convention art and stuff like that, like I think there's so many talented artists that are doing like pop, pop drawings and stuff like that, like pop characters, and that's cool. Like if that's what you're really interested in, like you're shooting to first of all make money, because that's the way to make money, is just draw like the popular characters. And then secondly, if you're really trying to get a job with these companies that you're representing their art with, like that's the best way to do it, because they definitely have scouts walking around these conventions looking at these booths, like that's not like that's a true thing. That does, like, there is scouts from these companies walking around seeing what the talent pool looks like. But for me personally, it's like I feel like it's done so much, like it turns me off from doing that artwork. Like I don't want to do another rendition of like Wonder Woman. I want to create my own hero and like have her story told. Cthulhu, I want to create my own Cthulhu and have it go on its own adventures. But the downside to that is like indie comics like don't get that same kind of respect and love that like these like really established characters do. And obviously it's because they've been around for years and years and years. There's so many iterations, there's so many storylines behind them. You have a history with these characters. So
I would say that's the thing. That's the thing we were talking about earlier. It also has everything to do with marketing. Like honestly, if you had $100,000 to run Facebook ads, you can definitely make your character as recognizable as any of those superheroes. Like think about it. Like most of the people that are our age didn't really grow up with comics. Like it's not like comics were like just a generation before and they leaked into our generation. So we got like the tail end of like all of that stuff. But like the golden age comics, like when it was a huge thing, is already long gone. So like the point is that means that there's this gap of people that like they know that comics exist, but it's not like they're all like, yes, I have every collection of Spider-Man. It's like not if they're our age, like unless they lucked out. But like that's the thing. So you have room to get it. It all has to do with just developing with your fan base. Like if you do horror comics, you need to find who likes horror comics. Like you should be like, here's a small little Facebook tip. Like if you wanted to run ads to try to get people who like horror comics, you could easily run an ad that goes, hey, get people that like Friday the 13th, because I'll tell you a little secret. Not everyone likes everything that they like on Facebook, meaning like they hit the like button on like a page. So if they go out of their way to do it, the odds that they like it is much higher, right? So if you're drawing slasher comics, like take out an ad towards Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Like that's hugely
like the difference there is that you have the marketplace of Facebook where you can target a mass amount of people or different groups of people. Like when it comes to a convention, that the target market there is going there for these bigger companies. You know what I mean? Like if say we're going to an indie comic convention, then obviously that would be like the perfect market for us, because we're indie comics. These people are going there for indie comics. You know what I mean? Like it's just you're in that right pool of people. So that's why I feel like conventions, these bigger conventions, like you don't get as much love at them when you're an indie, just because these people are going there to see the big show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I was on a Zoom meeting yesterday with the guy that runs Medallion Comics, and he was talking about the convention stuff, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna talk about that like in some podcasts. So look for that. But yeah, so he was like, yeah, like I want to like get more involved in the convention stuff. I'm like, well, we should start planning for it now, just like a Kickstarter. Plan for it now, but like we're not gonna do it until next year, because can't, like they basically cancel all of them.
The season is over.
Yeah, Saratoga Comic-Con, like they're saying that it's going to be open in November, like the other one, because they do a fall one and a spring one. I don't think it's going to be open, so we'll see. That's all the way in November, so I don't know.
Right.
San Diego Comic-Con, like they canceled that, so that's hasn't happened in like 50 years, ever. So
yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's
that was so depressing. Like
yeah.
Just the way I came across.
So
dark world we're living in. Comic-Con, it's gone.
Comic-Con's gone.
I don't even know
what
to
do.
Gonna
do.
I've never been to one, and I don't even know what to do. This is a dark world we're living in.
I'm just sad for everybody else who's experienced that before. It would be the best thing to do would be to plan for that, especially like even if there was a schedule, even if these ones didn't get canceled, me personally, I would give myself a year to plan. You know what I mean? Just so I can have all the assets that I need ready. I can have published books can
I was
take
about to
my
say
time
just
with
just
doing
like
that
our
stuff,
just
so,
like our
yeah.
launch plan for Kickstarter, like that's 2 months, and that's only about us. You're going to Comic Con, any Comic Con of any type, and I know technically they're all comic conventions, and only San Diego's called Comic Con now, apparently due to trademarks. But whatever. The point is that like if you're going there, there are at least dozens, and if it's something like San Diego or New York or C2E2 or Cake, I'm sure. Like there are hundreds or thousands of other creators there. Like you have to compete against all of them, like for their attention.
Right.
Not like your art doesn't need to be the same. You just
Yeah,
need
yeah.
their attention, and that's like what I was talking about before, where
Yep.
business is more important than your skill. Like if you have like a stand and you have like one piece of art on there with a black backdrop, like no one's gonna see you. So you want to like
Exactly.
you have to have a year to plan, not just like, oh, what comic am I gonna bring? Because like that's not gonna do anything. Right? The comic is
Right.
what'll keep them at your table. You need to think about like what type of posters you should have. Should you take out
Backdrops.
ads? So like here's
Yeah.
a small example of something Greg and I did about 2 years ago, and we weren't even going. So you can imagine what would happen if we ended up ever getting a table at San Diego. So for San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago, we had extra money to play with, and we decided we were going to run ads. So what I did was I targeted the San Diego Comic-Con Convention Center, right?
Yeah.
With ads. And I said, I don't want people to live here. I want people that are visiting here recently. And I targeted them. And then I said, and they need to like comic books. That's all I did. And I just hyper targeted them and started sharing our merchandise is what I think I shared, just because at the time I was like, oh, let's try to make money. And like, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just targeted with like our comics and stuff. But the point is that like you can get that specific with things like that. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. And actually, this is one little insider secret right now. Because of COVID-19, most companies stopped spending money on Facebook. So everyone's ad spend is going down. Meaning like it's a lot cheaper right now for anyone who's got money and is still working their job to start spending it on ads. So say you plan on going to New York Comic Con, because I'd be willing to bet New York Comic Con is still going on. Like it's in October. Just based on everything else I've been reading, like there's a lot of panic because the media makes money on panic, but like there's no way this is going on until October. It's just not like, and even if
the data.
Even if it does, like even if it's still like there's like, you know, social distancing, all they're going to do is reduce the number of tickets people buy, and they're going to put up like lines. Stupid. Like, hey, make sure you go down.
Or they'll extend it. They'll extend, you know, instead of 3 days, 5 days, and so they can recoup the losses of having to have, you know, a limited population at one time.
Yep. Yeah, and exactly. And so the whole point is that they basically when you go to plan for these, planning a year in advance isn't just about like what comics to bring. It's much more about like your marketing strategy. Like what you could do is you can go
table setup, everything.
Yeah, like you could target people that like Comic Cons and just do a brand awareness one, like a huge Comic Con one, and like do a bunch of like hyper targeting on Facebook. And just like massively spread the word out there for like, I don't know, $200 before, be like 2 months before the convention, and run it for the whole 2 months. And then when you get there, spend another $200 on just targeting ads for that area, and make it so that it's something that people will recognize when they get there too. And you can also take it out a day or two before the comic convention, because a lot of people will get there a day or two before, get a hotel, get stuff set up, right? You might even target people that are running like parts of the convention, and then they stop by and be like, yo, I kept seeing you all over Facebook. This is awesome. What do you got going on here? And you just get one rep with the camera that comes by and goes, hey, here's Artist Row, and they just happen to stop by your table because they recognize you. Now all of a sudden you're on the front of one of their posts for an Instagram thing, and you jump up an extra 1,000 followers overnight. Like people don't realize that there's a combination of like guerrilla marketing tactics and then like real advertising tactics that you could use. And if you're wow, where the hell is that book? Oh, it's buried. I'm not grabbing that. Where is it? Maybe. Yes, there. Oh shit, no, it's under like 20 books. I started stacking books.
This conversation just makes me more excited for the podcast we're doing with the Indian Quest, where I have you guys on to talk about comics as a business, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that we need to talk about. Like that most creators, because we're artists, we're not minded in that same way of like of being a business person and using business tactics and using marketing tactics and advertising. But it's something that if you're a creator and you're an indie creator, you're not just an artist for hire. If you're an indie creator, you have to be good at these things. You have to treat it like it's a business. You have to treat everything that you're doing like And that's the only turnoff that I have towards like comic conventions is everybody wants to go to them with this expectation that that's like going to solve their problems. And it's really not going to solve your problems at all. It's really actually just going to cost you money to go and put yourself in a place where you potentially could have some more fans, but if you're not doing anything, if you're not doing it all in the right way, it's not going to benefit you.
I was about to say, the other thing too is just like, oh man, that was funny as hell. Did you guys hear that? Can you hear that?
No.
It sounded like somebody farted behind me, but it's the rubber of my seat brushing against the wood. And it's like, it was like so loud. I was like, gee, I thought like my brother was standing behind me. I'm like, I got the camera. I could see behind me. Anyways, that was startling.
Ghost fart. Ghost fart.
I was like, was that me? But yeah, so the other thing I was going to say is that, what was it? That like really broke my brain right there. When you're the thing is that a philosophy that everyone should understand is that life is full of problems. You will always have problems. It's just what problems you choose to have. So when you go to a convention, it's not like that's going to solve your problems. All that's going to do is potentially remove some problems in place of new problems. That's
exactly.
All. Like
what's more manageable for you?
Yeah, like when you make a bunch of money, like if like say you're some millionaire with an entrepreneur business, not in comics, like just anything, it doesn't matter. Basically, like your other problem is like now you have to deal with like potentially relatives that are going to harass you for money. Like that's mentally destabilizing. Like that's something that's a real problem. That's why most people that like off themselves to go dark, like it's because they have more problems mentally to deal with, not physically. Physically, like we can deal with getting punched in the face. That sucks, but it's a lot better than like heartbreak. Like those are the things that like really tear you apart. So when you're going for a convention, like realize you're getting new problems, if anything. Now, if like here's a good one, like now there's people that might be way better than you, that you're gonna see their artwork next to yours. And that alone might be like, oh fuck, like I'm not as good as I thought I was, right? And that's when you have to realize either A, that means you need to get better, or B, it's because your artwork's different and you're just judging them based on other people's perception. And
exactly.
You have to not what you should be targeting. So there's tons of stuff you'll have to deal with, but I would definitely say, I'll save it for your podcast, but there's a ton of ideas I have about the conventions and how you should go about going after them and stuff like that. So like there's a lot to think about, and almost all of it is business related when it comes to a convention and not art.
And I think too, like the way that we're, I think our plans to kind of mitigate some of those things for artists, and it actually enables all of us to have some benefit and less stress, and it's really like, again, targeting people's strengths, targeting, working as a team, all those kinds of things that, like say if we're setting up a booth, we know that Dylan already has a plan for marketing that booth even before we get there. And then we have people that are, like say I only have one comic series that's out right now, but there's other comic creators that have 4. So like their strength is that they have a lot of work to provide. Our strength, that maybe Greg's strength at the booth, is that he can sell those comics to people. So we're utilizing everybody's strength and putting one table in one area. And yeah, I think that's the plan for, or the best plan, ideally for me as an artist, is to be part of something like that.
Yeah. When I was doing that meeting yesterday with Peter,
Cottontail,
popping down the bunny trail. Yeah. He's like, yeah, like what we should do is we have the table that's SeerNova Comics, but obviously we have the comics from everybody, and we market it the way that Dylan tells us to, because he knows what to do. And when some people in the beginning, before we were trying to form that team of creators, like some people were like kind of like second guessing it, and I was like, you can either be a lone wolf and do your own thing, but you're not going to succeed as high as when you're in a team together, because there's more minds clashing and like coming up with ideas. You're in your head. So
well, the big thing that Greg and I were talking about that exact point is the fact that that 80% business, you don't need to handle all yourself. Like, again, it's the baker and the bakery. Like, you don't need to own a bakery to be a good baker. Like, you don't need to own a restaurant to be the best chef. You know what I mean? Like that, like your name doesn't need to be on the front of the building for people to know your name. Right. And that's kind of the point, is like, you know, because think about it, like it's not like we can name our comic every comic's name combined. That'd be a really long ass name, right? We don't want it to be a law firm where it's got every person who's a partner on the front of the building.
Exactly.
You know, the point is that, you know, just going under one name just makes it simpler. And, you know, even if it's not us, like it's some other group trying to do the same thing we're doing. Like the point is to gather under a roof of people that are doing the business part correct, because you can always get better as an artist yourself. But the point is that unless you have that business savvy or have the partner who's the business savvy, like it's just, you're not going to advance even close to where you could if you just knew a little bit more on that business side.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about our situation specifically is like, so the trust factor that's there, right? So some people were questioning like, well, like if I send you my books, like how do I know that you're gonna pay me like the fair rate, like when you sell them and stuff like that? And I'm like, well, like it's kind of like you're trading one risk factor for another risk factor, and this risk factor, at least you're not as involved, and you're not like taking on all of the burden.
A small one, even if like say we like didn't pay them the fair rate. The other funny part too is more the fact that like have like some people that asked, like I would feel that the majority of people that ask that are more likely the ones who haven't even sold one yet. You know what I mean? Like they haven't even sold a single comic yet, and and that's the same thing with the artists we were talking about earlier with page rates. Like if you haven't made money doing the thing that you're trying to do, you're worth nothing until you do. Like
Exactly.
like I said in the last podcast that we ended up having to scrap because none of my vocals came through. I was talking about the fact that as a web developer, I now charge thousands of dollars for a website. My first one I did for free. Guess how much I charged for my second one? It was free. Third one, free. Fourth one, I got a couple $100 and it was like a gift almost to me. Right. Then the next one, I was like, oh, I got paid a couple $100. Let's see if I can do it again. I did that a couple more times. And then I got to that level. But it was like after I was doing it I was doing hours, days of coding, right? Like a very a technical skill that I had to like build over years of working on it. And I wasn't making any money on it. But now because I put in the upward or the upfront work on it, like now I have like the time and right to go, well, listen, like I got somebody else who's willing to pay me right now. Like, you know, pay more.
And not to say that like, you know, you should just give your stuff away to people and like trust everybody. You know, like from our situation is like, you know, we're creators that are trying to build something like together. And that kind of defeats the purpose if you're burning your bridges. You know what I mean? Like, so if we burn the bridge of this relationship in one Comic-Con, we're not making that, like, if we didn't give you any money, that would be a poor investment on our end. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're taking, like, how much are we actually making from selling your comics that we burned the bridge?
Wouldn't even pay for the gas to get to the convention the day from the hotel.
And then if we sold all of your comics, right? Like, say we sold all your comics, then that means people like that work. Why would we actually burn? Like, you know, that doesn't.
Well, no, that's what I'm getting at. Well, that's the other thing too I was getting at is like, again, even if you again, not even just us, like say somebody else did that to you and kind of screwed you, your name's still on the comic book. Even if you made no money for it, that guy just marketed the crap out of you, which that's also amazing. Like if anything, like he got paid for marketing, right? Like you want to feel bad about it. Like, but like it's, so that's what I'm trying to say. Like the risk is so much, the risk is almost nothing for the benefit that you get because even the risk has a positive side effect.
Right. And it's so absurd. Like when like we hear it, like say, like I know it's absurd for you guys to have to deal with that simply because you're like, no, we're actually trying to help you without any catches, you know, without any like fine print. Like we're just trying to like do something that's cool together. Like it's kind of like when you're on the playground and you just want to play with other kids. Like you don't have.
Are you trying to take my lunch pack or a snack pack later?
Exactly. Like
you got a banana. You don't need a snack pack.
No, I want that snack pack. No, but yeah, no, it's absurd to people that are honest to hear people that have that mentality of distrust, you know, because when you're honest, it's like you don't even think that way, you know. So it's for us, it's just a little absurd to hear that stuff, but it's reasonable. It's reasonable that people think that way because the world is kind of built on, you know, catches and fine print. And,
well, like we were talking about earlier, that like the media, like it makes money when things go bad. That's the whole point. So that's one thing though I would say as an indie creator or an indie artist that you do have to get used to is that you should have a lot more trust in people than even a normal person should have because Here's like one example that you shouldn't have it in. Like as a creator, you shouldn't give a bunch of money to an artist and then hope he draws it. And as an artist, you also shouldn't not do any of the work or do all of the work and not get any money. And then all of a sudden, like they disappear, right? Like with your artwork. So like there's that back and forth there. Like you don't need to be stupid to be trustworthy, right? There's a very stoic philosophy. It's trust but verify, right? So be trusting, but just you follow up. You know what I mean? Like if you're an artist who's getting paid for artwork, maybe get paid for one page at a time. That way, like even if you scammed them, it's only a couple of bucks, and obviously your name's going to get bashed. So why would you do that, right? So like then they can also build that trust in you, and then eventually, like our artist, like I'm sure Greg could probably pay for an entire comic up front and not feel like they're going to disappear with the money, and it's because now we've built the trust, right? And so the whole point is
that's that whole like saying of like trust someone as far as you can throw them. Like the weight of what they're providing. Like a little bit about what you're how far you can throw them because how much is in your hands basically. Like you have to have the information first, or at the same time, like you approach the relationship with trust, but also like you said, verify it with that information behind it.
Yeah. But definitely, you don't want to go
in with distrust.
Yeah, that's exactly what that saying means. It just means don't start with a belief of dishonesty. Start as if they're the perfect person, and then you're just checking. Right? Yeah. It's like, oh, if they're perfect, then obviously I'll be able to check and it will verify itself very easily. And that's all you have to do. With honestly, you should be doing that in life. But the point is, as an indie creator, you already are at a disadvantage by being an indie creator, right? Like you're already starting on back at home base. You haven't even hit the ball yet. You're not on first base yet. You need to have more trust in people. And honestly, that's the whole thing. Like you'd be surprised, like most people are very trustworthy. And if anything, the more trust you give to them, the more trust you will receive in return. And like I've seen that throughout life. Like, yes, every once in a while, somebody screws you. That's life. Like, but the point is that if you think everyone's going to screw you all the time, your life's going to be miserable and you're not going to go as far as you could have.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that you go through most of your days trusting a lot of people. You know what I mean? You get in a bus.
I trust that Steve Jobs did a good job on this phone that I had a couple of years ago.
I mean, you're living a lot of your life. Like, again, like I think people perceive risk and trust in completely like skewed ways. And they're not realizing that like all around them every day, they're making these decisions and they're probably more risky than the decision you're skeptical about, So like, I think it just goes to solve for happy. Nice.
Yeah, this is written by a engineer at Google X, which is their business. He's the what is it called? The CBO, Chief Business Officer at Google X. They're the ones that create like the self-driving cars, the GPS stuff.
Oh, sweet.
Google Maps. They're the ones that do all of the stuff that I guess little small side tangent I'll get right back to it. But basically at Google, you get time to work on random projects. If those random projects turn out really interesting, they'll move it over to Google X, right? So and he's the business officer of it, so he runs that. Nice. And basically what he talks about in there is a lot of psychology things. And there's a small little, this is more life advice, but it works out for the same transition to the business advice. If you don't keep something positive in your mind for at least 11 seconds, you will not remember it. Your brain doesn't remember it, like period. Like if it's not, unless it's hugely impactful, but if it is, it'll stay in your mind for more than 11 seconds, right? And the point is that if I've mentioned this probably in another podcast before, but the counting the green lights, right? Like I make sure to remember that I caught a green light and not a red light because most people only recognize when they caught a red light. So it's the same thing back to the business and the trusting. The issue is that you want to start off knowing that you're going to feel distrust no matter who it is until your brain can accept that there's trust to be had. But the problem is that you still need to go in it as if you do trust. So yes, you might even feel distrust in the beginning, but you cannot act in a form of distrusting, that they are acting dishonestly, because once you act that way, coincidentally, you also appear to be dishonest. And so you will neither of you will benefit. And so that's the other big thing too. It's like, know that it's also 100% normal to not trust people. It's more normal to not trust people than it is to trust people. And so
it's like an exercise to trust people.
Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, like you have to really realize that you have to actually try to trust people, and knowing that if you do, it's much, much more beneficial. if they want you to get in the van, swing and a miss, you might work out for you.
Well, in terms of our convention plans, Greg, I would love to hear kind of like the overview of what you had in mind for that stuff so that we can all pile in the van together.
Yes, the same van.
So it's gonna start with we're all at a hotel, and then there's this white van that comes up, but there's no windows to the van, and we all get to the van, and Dylan's driving.
Is there
there pizza?
There is candy.
Pizza candy.
Yeah, and then Dylan hands out the candy, sparing it, and
then we all fall asleep.
And then we all fall asleep, and we wake up, no pants on. We're near like a river. And
in a van?
Apparently he lives in that van.
Yeah.
Down by the river.
Van.
No.
Yeah. He's got a nice suit though. He's got a nice suit for that van.
No, what I'm actually thinking is like, obviously he's going to do like Facebook ads like crazy before we go to it. So he'll do the Facebook ad portion of what he has to do. We're going to, I don't think everybody can send their comics to us because first, it has to be like, what location are we going to pick for that Comic-Con? So let's say Cake. So either we send all of the comics to your place, which I don't know if your wife will like 1,000 comics coming in. No, she won't care. Just say they're large.
You know what? For me, it's kind of like I would like stand like Captain Morgan on the boxes and be like, "Look what I've done, woman! Look what I've built for you." And I would take that as a business accomplishment. So I think she would see that in a positive light. But regardless, working out the logistics of it, I understand what you mean.
We do like so he does the ads, then we send to wherever location we're doing. So like Covenant Comics went to it's like Comic Fest or something in San Diego or something, and that was right before like COVID like really hit. So if they do that again because they enjoyed it, we would send some comics to them since they're in San Diego. So we would do something like that. And then obviously we would probably have to work out, even though we don't like contracts, maybe work out a little agreement form type thing. Like the money goes to maybe our PayPal and we disperse it to everybody that the comics are sold.
Right.
I would say one thing to think about too is that when it comes to that, it depends on who we work with, because like say for example we're not the ones at the convention, like say Hector's the one at the convention and we send everything to him. I actually wouldn't even mind, and obviously we'd have to confirm with our creators, if some of the money that's made from selling the comics just goes to Hector for hosting it. So again, it's almost like free marketing for everyone else, but Hector obviously has to pay for the table, right? So unless we're all funding the table together, which that's also the case, and then if that's the case, then it's whoever makes the money back on the comics, right? And that would be a lot easier if each of us is only putting in $20 comparatively.
Exactly.
So that's the thing that we got to think about, is whether or not whoever's there hosts it and they pay for it, but they get all the funds, which obviously that can incentivize marketing, right? Because if they don't sell anything, they're not going to get their money back. But it's also the case where if artists want to feel like they've been paid for their artwork, then it might be better to have the individuals pay. So I don't know which one might be the optimal one, but it's definitely something to vote on and see how it could be handled. And it could be a mix of the two, where maybe the creators fund half of whoever's going to the convention, because obviously the person going to the convention gets the benefit of the convention itself. It's not like they're strapped to the table and can't look at other stuff. So it could be that it's like a 50-50 thing where like the creators will split the cost of the table and send their comics, and that way when the comics sell, it will split between the person hosting the convention and whoever's comics sold.
Yeah, I would love it too if like we could actually work as a team in a convention. And like I know it's like some of us are kind of spread out, but if say like I can fly up to Canada in 2 hours and go to the Montreal convention, and I would go and do that. So it's not having some help with actual creators coming, and then obviously like we would just have to work out the logistics of the pricing scale, the pricing model, like you're talking about. And I do think it does make more sense in terms of like incentivizing the person who's there to sell, if they're the ones, like taking on the risk, the risk reward kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I would definitely lean in that direction, but like I said, it could also be a nice idea if the table's like in a really nice spot. If we do the 50-50 where whoever goes pays for half of it, and then all the creators donate $5 or something that cuts the price in half because of the number of creators we have. And then, they pay $5 up front, which is basically like paying for ad space, but almost nothing. And then they send their comics, and however many they decide to send, that's perfectly up to them. And then
it would be a topic of discussion too would then be like all the accents, all the stuff like the page, the table banner and like the back banner and all that kind of stuff. Obviously if we're promoting the platform, then that's like, SeerNova Comics would be on there. But then do we have like every single logo of everybody?
I was going to say one of the things that would be interesting too is in the beginning. It depends on what the creators also think about, but I would assume like we would probably be the ones that like create all of the banners and stuff so no one else has to buy it. And then we would just have to ship it to whoever's hosting the table at the convention. And then obviously like that's something that if they're hosting it, like maybe they split the cost of shipping, because obviously it'll be a little bit if we're sending like some big stuff like banners.
Yeah, exactly.
But like it would be something interesting to have, because the other thing too is like the other reason why it's nice to have the SeerNova banner as opposed to all of the other names on it is purely due to the fact that not everyone plans on sticking with us forever, right? And so to put their name on there, and then if they leave, it kind of, and then like we don't have that spot for a new person who came in. But something that would be interesting is if whoever sends comics to a convention has something that could be hung up on a board that we have specifically to showcase the artist. So say we have a big
too.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like a big ass banner that's like SeerNova Comics, indie comic, something. We got to come up with a cool brand, slogan. The indie comic hub. I don't know. And so then over here we'd have another banner that's basically blank that we put on whoever we're hosting at the convention. And the other thing too is, and because of that, like whoever's physically there. So say it's in Chicago, and so New Leaf's hosting it. We could have it so like your banner is the big ass one you put on top, and then we basically every creator can have an equal size banner depending on if they're going to be hosting a convention, and like it'll be basically our big ass banner that promotes the whole organization, and then they can have the bigger of the other banners on there to show like, hey, we're the ones, kind of like Greg and I were talking about having my brother make some music for the podcast. So it'd be like SeerNova Comics podcast, sponsored by the Upstate Sound, something like that.
Right.
Or it could be the same thing. It's like SeerNova Comics. I was going to say podcast. SeerNova Comics, whatever comics collection, sponsored by New Leaf, right? Because you're the one going.
Right.
And so like that would be the benefit of being a host. And then also the benefit would be that the rest of the creators can help support you by splitting the cost with you and sending you comics so you have supplies. And then basically we'd have to plan out some of the other stuff that you would bring.
Right. Yeah. I think it's good that it's encouraging that we're making this right now, just so other creators can see that we're planning the logistics of this thing and we're not just going in like really blind and without
like
really
these are like some of the ideas off the
execution.
top of my head. There's definitely more ideas that Greg and I have chatted about too. Like
100%.
it like I was saying, like the ads are just like a small portion of like a huge campaign I'd run. Like I'd have like, we were scheduling out posts for your New Leaf comics. Like I would have that like scheduled out like 3 months in advance. Every like fifth post would just be like, hey, we're going to this convention. Hey, don't forget about this convention, targeting that convention. I would put the location of the post at the convention, right? Like I would just continually figure out all these like, marketing things, maybe pay some kid on the street and be like, yo, hand out posters, like, whatever, just toss him a couple bucks. Who cares if he drops them all? The wind will blow them away to somebody else who might see it. So it's like, it's definitely some interesting tactics that we can deploy. And once we get all of that together, whoever runs a convention, like they'll also equally benefit because they'll get these marketing strategies that we're going to build up for the conventions we want to run anyways, and they can utilize it for anything. It doesn't need to be for a convention we're all collectively hosting. If they want to do a small local one and they don't want to bring everybody's comics, like they can just host it and use all the same strategies.
Yeah, I actually have an idea for a team one. Like if like all three of us and maybe someone else was magically there, the table would have
San Diego.
That'd be cool, but one day. The guy with Bolden Audio Comics, he actually wants to like have like a split table with us because his comics are all like Well, obviously I wrote them. So he does like anybody can come up to his booth and they can like use like a recording like kind of booth, and then like you are the character, whatever comic you choose. But for our team thing, it could either include him too or just us three. We would have like a TV monitor set up, and it could either have like motion comics on there, so it could be like parts of like New Leaf comics, so like Uriel and Goose, or it could be like Ink, and it could show like him freaking out or whatever. I just wrote in the second issue of Ink, which is sort of a spoiler to come. Like he does something pretty awesome. And
Shut up, Greg.
So, yeah,
He does his taxes.
he does by heaven alone.
Nope. Dependent.
From The Office, he does his taxes.
Oh, nice.
He's
Okay.
an accountant and he's terrible at it.
Chili stained tax papers.
You got in this Chili's tonight. So, yeah, like I think like we could have motion comics on the TV, or we could have like it would do the motion comics thing, then it would come out to say like SeerNova Comics or whatever, or like you can find us at SeerNovaComics.com. Then we can also have some of the merch from the indie store, but we would only have like a select few of that because it's drop shipping, so we can literally send it to your house, which I don't know many other people that do that. So we could be like, yeah, do you want the shirt? Well, we don't have that shirt right now. But I'm like, oh, okay.
That's false advertising.
Fake news.
Wrong. So
Wrong.
you just inject the bleach. So just yeah, we could like have that, and then like have a bunch of I actually have them on my shelves, like the little comic holders, and you could just put the comics on the little holder, and you could just set those up on the table. You would have like a banner for like SeerNova Comics, since we're hosting, or the big banner.
Yeah, there's actually like obviously like you could set up your table in any way, but there's actually like a strategy to setting up your table and everything. Like I've looked into like different blogs and stuff like that from creators that go to conventions pretty often, and there's actually like trends of like, yeah, just like any advertising or marketing campaign, like how to set up your table so that people, it's like more receptive, that people go up there and walk up and stuff. And yeah, I mean, in terms of the ideas that, you know, we could potentially do, I think it's limitless. And I think that's kind of the whole point. Is having so many different
power.
what is it? Power of Grayskull. No, and you just turn into a selling machine, basically. It's like all muscular comics coming out of your muscles and stuff. No, but yeah, there's like tactics to do it, and what's cool is that like we have, if we do this all together, then we have like this huge supply of things to market, you know, for all different genres, all different kinds of people. Hey, do you like horror? Okay, I got a book for you. You know, hey, do you like sci-fi? I got a book for you. It's not just like your own collection of stuff, because you might not cover those genres, or the span of genres. And it's just I think it'd be more interesting to have a table full of different pieces of work. Like if I'm sitting behind the table and I'm selling those comics, it would be much more interesting to have just like a collection of different stuff and be like, ooh, this is cool, ooh, and just like share that excitement with different people. And I think that's just an easier way to connect, because like I see tons of like every time I've gone to a comic convention, like you go to like the indie, like you go to the bigger guys section,
Artist Alley. Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, you just go to like the Marvel section, right? And like they have people that legit are like salespeople, you know what I mean? So like they're ready to like interact, and they're there for 8 hours interacting. And like you go to Artist Alley and you see like these artists, like they're active for like an hour or two, and then they're like, okay, I need to rest, I need to sit down, and like I need to like take a break from this, because as an artist you're not a salesman really, you know, like your energy is not catered towards that like interaction, especially when you're an introvert artist. So you're going there to sell your work,
which a lot of our artists are introverts too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
like,
it's like having
no, keep going.
No, yeah, just having somebody who's there, who's willing to, like, who understands, like, I'm not here for my art specifically. I'm here to, like, be a salesman and, like, capture people's attention and get them to buy art in general. Like, this art, this collection of art, I think it's just it takes the focus away from me specifically, like on my art, and I think I would be more comfortable with something like that than like having the whole table be about like me selling myself because I hate doing that. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's I think just mentally it changes the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we have to do our like all strengths and weaknesses. Like that's why we have to figure all that out. Like
Voltron.
I know that.
5 mini line robots.
And by the way, for that slogan thing, before I get on to the next little topic thing that I was gonna say, I started telling people to use "we are building something" as like a little slogan or like phrase to use on like Instagram.
Hey, I came up with that.
Well, yeah, I know. So
That's a good one for like pulling in creators, but we need one that's good for. So that's the thing that we keep getting better and better at is like pulling in creators. But the thing that we need to collectively work on, which obviously this is every indie creator's greatest struggle, is coming up with a slogan for the artist or the comic fans.
Yeah.
Here's one.
Well, yeah, I like.
Give us a chance. Come on.
Come on, forget about it.
Just imagine seeing that in text. You know what I mean? Like underneath the logo. Just give us a chance. Come on.
I would like to try to think of something clever like the thing I was showing up with the videos that we made for my brother's beat production, right? Like we've got beats for that, right? Like making funny comedic things. I'd like to come up with something that's as simple as that. Like we've got beats for that. Like it's not even like all one hand, right?
You got comics for that.
Yeah, but it's got to match. It's got to match like obviously the feel of our collective comics, and we have minimal. We have a smaller amount of like comedic comics versus any other comics, so we want to be able to have a wide variety to like. Oh, you know what I almost was thinking about when I was in Universal Studios in Los Angeles. You could go to. Meaning the theme park. There's like a place you can go where they have like the FX and they show like they light a guy on fire right in front of you. It's actually pretty awesome. Like they do like tons of cool shit like that. Like they show you how it's done and all that. And one of the things that they did in the beginning though was they did this like multi-trailer collection of all of their movies, and then they showed the very first Universal intro and the very most recent with like the dun 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 like that whole thing, right? So it's epic because they even like have like a whole orchestra for the intro song that's like 15 seconds or 30 seconds long, right? And so the point is that trailer is a really good showcasing of everything they offer, and you'll notice that it's kind of got that drama feel as opposed to any other feel. It's not a scary feel, it's not a comedy feel, it's not an action feel. It's all of those things which collectively create drama. That's why like a drama like theater has the happy face and the sad face. Like that's the whole point of those masks, is that it's the whole spectrum of feelings.
The spectrum.
And so that's what we want to be focusing on, is figuring out how to basically encapsulate that trailer of collective Universal videos, which used to be like in the beginning of some like, you remember those VHS tapes? Like they would do it in the beginning of those. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. I have one that could not be interpreted as any other thing but that. And it says, We're on the spectrum.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, dude, that'd be fucking great. Like, yo, check out our comics. Check this out. Check out our comics. Well, we're on the spectrum.
I was literally thinking that. I was about to say that, but I didn't know if it was appropriate to say that.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, now it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
please
definitely.
Don't come at me, guys. Don't come for me, please.
What are you talking about? It only has one meaning. What could they possibly come after you about?
I mean, I'm only meaning it in one way, in the most positive, non-discriminatory way possible.
Yeah.
No, non-offensive.
Yeah, L for love.
Exactly.
But anyways, but yeah, definitely like trying to encapsulate that, like that trailer feeling where you get like just goosebumps because you're just like, oh, explosions, oh, romance, oh, comedy, right? And it's all like this like amalgam of emotions, and like that's kind of what you want to collect in whatever it is that we market ourselves as, because that's the whole point, is we do run across all of those. And so that's something to just think about, and that we'll all have to think about. Obviously, the creators can help with this too, is to try to figure out what best represents that collection of feelings that can be showcased in like a single one-liner phrase that represents the organization, as well as potentially literally a physical video trailer that's just a collection of those images. and as well as like a single portrait image. Like if, our logo is the profile pic on our page, we need a banner that showcases the, spectrum of comics that we have. Yeah, we're on the spectrum.
Let's put it out there.
Well, that's crazy that you had the exact same thing in your head. Okay.
Oh,
I think we've just been talking way too much recently, Greg.
Yeah.
Now we're
that card game.
sharing one mind.
Yeah, that project that we're doing. Wow. Yeah, like we actually, well, I said it and then Hector said it in the Discord, and it's like, like you guys should start sharing this stuff to social media so there's like progress, like showing progress of what you're doing, not just in Discord but on social media. And they're like, oh, okay. And I started seeing some people do that. That's good.
This way, ready? It's like, hey, remember we were just talking about the convention and soda stuff because we didn't just skip a bunch of stuff? Yeah, now we're back on the soda stuff, and we're about to say something exciting.
So we have two winners, and that's Aaron Dowan, that's part of Catalyst Comics. He has his own like indie comic.
What did he win? What are we talking about?
It's for Create Our Universe for our
I'm
game.
so excited!
It's for our video game that's coming up in a few months, and our comic universe as a whole. So they would be the CEO of whatever company that is created after they win like a bunch of.
So basically, to describe it to anyone who doesn't know about it, we put a bunch of polls out there to try to figure out what brands we should have in our universe, because a few months ago we decided that basically we're going to be on like a planet Earth, but we're not even going to have like the same like land layouts. Like we're going to take certain things from our world and bring it over, but it's not going to be anything like the original. So we're going to get rid of stuff and we're going to replace it with completely new stuff, so no brand is replicated. So we decided that some of the stuff that's going to be most frequently moved in the universe is going to be stuff like food and beverage. So that's some of the first brands we put out there. So we put a poll out there for like what type of soda company we should have. And so what were the names that got suggested? Some, not even all the winners, just all of them. Like what are like the ones that you can remember? Like what names come to mind?
There was one called Refresher.
Leave the winners for last too. So
yeah. There's like Refreshers and Dr. Inkwells.
I still think that was kind of clever. I saw that one.
There was another one.
I just think of Zoidberg. That's pretty good.
I've had practice.
Sugarcane Chronicles. That was actually Matt Myers. That was his, but it just wasn't voted that high. But yeah.
It's an interesting name, but not one for your soda.
Yeah. But I can't think of any of the other ones right now, but there are more. 4-Star Cola, but I might change it to an alcohol name instead of soda because the person that came up with that name is Chuck, and I know he drinks beer and probably other forms of alcohol. So
4-Star 40s.
Sinner.
Edward 40 Hands. So yeah.
Wait, do you know
Best
about
game
Edward
ever.
40 Hands?
Oh yeah.
Well, I know.
Oh,
it's
nice.
yeah.
I played many of rounds of Edward 40 Hands in my.
I never played. I just got to watch it happen. We did it at my fraternity, and I got to watch a guy from Germany do it way too fast. Yeah, and it was faster than he thought it should have been too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
we all enjoyed it.
So the winners of the two major soda companies for our universe are Craig Cola, which is from Aaron Dowan. So, oh wait, shit. No, yeah, I think that's his. And then Euphoria Fizz was no shit, no. I think Euphoria Fizz was Gene. One sec.
Oh, did you get him backwards?
Aaron,
oh my god.
Aaron created Cray Cola.
Nice. There we go. I'm looking right at it. And Gene created Euphoria Fizz. Greg, it's right there.
Congratulations!
There you go.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
Aaron and Gene.
Yeah.
You are now the CEO of your own fake company.
Yeah. And guess what just happened? Stocks have plummeted, and you're going to jail.
Bernie Madoff.
come to conventions, think about conventions, plan conventions a year ahead of time. And
Like,
congratulations, Aaron and Gene, for Euphoria Soda and Cray Cola. I bet they're both delicious. Send us your ingredients. I know you have them.
your ingredient.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, and
See you in the next Breakfast Talk. Whip it up with us next time.
yeah.
Yes. On the next episode, a hurricane.
Just give me all the bacon and eggs you have.